Apologies, I am late. Starting an hour late. I've been pretty good recently. I mean, aside from the fact that I'm always a little bit late. Usually I'm not a lot late. Today I was. Right into the music. Let me see. We had only just kind of started this and it didn't occur to me at first, but this has got to be like a mini trial, like usually the first, like the prologue or the chapter 1 of each game is they throw you right into the trial without an investigation. And that's what happened to us here. We didn't investigate at all. They just went, okay, you're starting the trial. On day 1, I think we had only 1 day of trial, but it was interrupted by a little bit of investigation. Like, just walk around the other courtroom a little bit. So that kind of lends more to my theory that this is not the last case. This will probably be a short one, and then we'll have a proper case 5 after it to wind it up, wrap it up. I suspect the defendant had no time to destroy such damning evidence. When the Space Center director and Detective Arm stumbled across the murder, so he thought to hide it in his pocket. Feeble-brained that he is. Arg! No! Mr. Starbuck would never do anything like that. What are we talking about that he hid in his pocket? Oh, the detonator. Indeed. Ah! Whoa! We had an outrageous overreaction this time. Justice, Dono. Open your eyes and see the truth. This appears to be irrefutable evidence that the accused set off the explosions. No, there has to be some kind of mistake. This can't be the truth. Still can't accept it. You'll believe in your client, come what may. Then why don't you cross-examine the defendant himself? Because it's not what cross-examine means. In order to be cross, the cross-examination, he's my witness, you cross-examine him. This has got to be a trap. It's like Blackwell's controlling the entire game. Yeah, it seemed like he was waiting for me to bring up the body-moving issue. Why do you say that? Because he had just the right argument when I pointed it out. And to really rub it in, he had a decisive piece of evidence up his sleeve, too. He was trying to shake my faith in Mr. Starbuck and break me down. Then, making you cross-examine Mr. Starbuck at this point was part of his plan, too? Totally underhanded, but I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Isn't this just called being a good lawyer? Now let us hear from the arch-villain, the fiendish murderer himself. Famed astronaut, Solomon Starbuck. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Solomon Starbuck, astronaut. How did this happen? Mr. Starbuck, you aren't looking very well. Will you be able to give testimony? No. Well, unfortunately, no is not an option. You are being accused of the Space Center bombing and the murder of Clay Terran. Hello, Serp. Welcome. Please testify to these allegations. Testify to these Allagons. Testify to the Allagan ruins. Mind if I take this suit off? It's getting really heavy. No, we have no way of knowing who you are unless you wear certain clothing.
Silence.
It's not the weight of the suit that you feel, but of your sins. Prepare to carry. You're gonna carry that weight. He's cowboy bebopping us. You're gonna carry that weight. Fly me to the moon! Now he's Ava! Wow, we're all kinds of classic anime. Banish me to the moon, I don't care anymore. Wow, that was super negative. Is he going to be alright up there? He'll be Daijobu, I think. To Omoyo. As long as he doesn't totally give up and say he did it, that is. We seem to have that problem more often than we should. Putting clients on the stand only to have them say, yes, it was me. All I did was support Clay over my shoulder and get us out of the rocket. Like always, I took the elevator down to the middle level and headed for the corridor. He's gonna put the die in Daijobu. What is this? You brought a checklist? Boop. 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 Good job. Clay had passed out by the time we got the order to evacuate. I didn't kill Clay, I was trying to save him. So you assert you didn't set off the bombs or murder the victim. But I bet you think I'm lying, right? I reserve all judgment until after I've heard your full testimony. I'm not gonna sigh every time anymore. I'm sure you don't believe me. I bet you don't even believe I'm an astronaut. I don't think the judge doubts that. Who'd wear a suit like that except an astronaut? I will say that when I saw you in that movie, you appeared quite courageous, though I suppose reality never quite lives up to fantasy. Wasn't that an actor? I guess I'm just a big disappointment. I really don't care what happens anymore. Oh no, he's completely given up. Is this somebody else sighing? What a depressing fellow. If you were to join me in the clink, I imagine that annoying sighing of yours would rub off on the other inmates. Like how it rubbed off on Prosecutor Blackwell a second ago? Huh? That was Blackwell sighing? Mr. Starbuck's testimony contains a glaring contradiction. The question is, what does it mean? Even if Mr. Starbuck is my client, I can't be gun-shy now. It's time to find out the truth, with truth bullets. So what's the contradiction? Is it that he said that he took an elevator, but it's actually a ladder? No. Middle level of the launch pad near the elevator. That's the problem, right? Hold it! Is that the elevator inside the launch pad area? That's right. We always use it to get to and from the cockpit. That makes sense. So he was just using the route he always used, in spite of the fact that there had just been an explosion? Huh? I think Mr. Starbuck is hiding something. Something pretty big. Objection! Mr. Starbuck, I need your testimony to be as accurate as possible. Was I not being accurate? No, because it's impossible for you to have taken the elevator down to the middle level. What makes you say that, Mr. Justice? Please recall where the bomb went off in Launchpad 1. Also recall that after the explosion, the middle level elevator, that's hard to say, was engulfed in flames. Oh, you're right, which means... Exactly. The Launchpad's elevator would have been unusable. In other words... Mr. Starbuck, your statement is decidedly inconsistent with the facts. Old bag? What's with the helmet? Mission Command, do you read me? Please come in. Objection! This is mission command. I order you to pay attention. Stop this nonsense and answer my questions, Mr. Starbuck. What? Ah! My oxygen tank! Oxygen concentration and body temperature declining. Requesting medical assistance. Okay, we killed him. We did it. Mr. Starbuck, we are not in space right now. Please, stop pretending you have lost consciousness. Stand back up like people who have lost consciousness only do. You were joking earlier, and you killed him with your joke. I apologize, Your Honor. I forgot I was still on Earth. You know, it's funny. There's actually a short story by Asimov, if I'm not mistaken, where the short story ends with like this guy is holding a very they're claiming he had been claiming, oh god, what was it? Basically, long story short, they're back on Earth and somebody like surprises him by saying, throw it here quick, and he throws it and it only goes like halfway and falls on the ground and smashes, and it's like a one-of-a-kind thing, and he's like, well, that proves it. You were on the moon until recently because your body hasn't accustomed to the, you know, the stronger gravity of Earth. I think it was Asimov. Pretty sure Asimov. I feel like we all just got a real glimpse of Solomon Starbuck the astronaut. Yeah, he seemed more like an astronaut now than when he was doing all that sighing. When I think astronaut, I think panic. Exactly. Mr. Starbuck, could you please explain the inconsistency in your statement about how you used the middle level elevator? Difficult. Why not say something else? Why not say second floor basement? Middle level elevator. I was nervous and I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I actually took a different route, I think. A different route? Alright, so he was the unconscious one being carried around. I get it. I hope you'll be able to deliver a straight story this time. Ack! I'll get it right this time. No, maybe. I mean, probably. Probably. It's understandable to be nervous, but let me remind you that accuracy is paramount in court, especially Phoenix Wright Court. Let's see. My escape route. What I said before was a mistake. I remember now. Can we get a supercut of every I remember now in the whole series? I took a different route, maybe, probably. With the capsule and clay in my arms, I made my way down from the upper level. So you're saying you escaped without using the elevator? That's right, there's a ladder that spans the upper and middle levels. I used that ladder to get to the middle level. Luckily, the fire hadn't reached the ladder, so we could make our escape that way. And the capsule you mentioned, I suppose you mean the thing next to Mr. Terran here. Was the capsule that important that you'd risk your life to take it with you? It almost goes without saying, but yeah, that capsule contains asteroid samples. Therefore, it's invaluable as research material. With his spacesuit on, clay weighed a ton, but securing the capsule was also important. I need you to answer to the best of your ability. Mr. Starbuck, please remember that your verdict is riding on your testimony. Maybe I am guilty after all. I wonder if you can see the stars in prison. Bet it's more comfortable than a spaceship. It might be. Hold it! How could you mistake such a basic fact? What are you, Dumbo? Hey, everybody makes mistakes, but try thinking about the vastness of space instead. It's true that I was wrong, but consider this. Space exists. From Earth, it takes 4 light years to travel to our nearest neighboring star. So you see, compared to the vast expanse of space, human error is insignificant. I wish you'd consider it just a little more significant than 0. Enough jabbering. Get on with your testimony. Ugh.
Hold it!
Maybe. Probably. Question marks. Did I hear you right, Mr. Starbuck? I didn't say either of those things. Mission Control, please come in. An error has occurred in the sound system. Activate the emergency tin can telephone. Oh no! Tin can telephones are ineffective in the vacuum of space.
Silence.
Stop this nonsense or I will sever you and your tin can telephone. Alright, I'm begging you. I'll tell the truth. Just don't sever anything. Apollo, is he going to be alright? I'm starting to think he's not. Let's see. So about when we were running away.
Hold it!
The upper level of the launch pad area? That's right. That's what I said, isn't it? Granted, that route does exist. So to recap, you had clay over your right shoulder, and the capsule in your left hand? Yeah, it's really important, so I couldn't let it get burned up. So even though clay was really heavy, I couldn't afford to carry him with both hands. I did the best I could with him over one shoulder, and the capsule in my other hand. I don't think the meaning of what he just said has hit him yet. You know what you have to do with that statement. Justice, dunno. Yes, I know. Well, I've come this far, no turning back now. Time to present some evidence. So Mr. Starbuck escaped with clay in the capsule, which means... It's just like in the footage. I can see why he couldn't run, though. He must have weighed over 200 pounds just by himself. That's normal. Like, adults... Like, you don't need to be wearing a spacesuit to weigh over 200 pounds. Yeah, and he had to support Clay, who was another 200 pounds. Or is she saying this? He was carrying a suit that weighed 200 pounds? Doesn't matter. Plus, he had to ensure the safety of that capsule. I don't think I could have even walked under those circumstances. Walking straight forward is probably about all I would have been able to manage.
Objection!
The evidence is incorrect, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, me? What do you make of this objection of his? Oh, I don't know if I should, well... I have no patience for vagaries. Answer my question. Defense objection was clearly misguided. Bravo. Ho ho ho. Seems to release the penalty. Okay. Okay. I thought they wanted the picture of him, you know, carrying. Do they just want this? The thing that shows he would have to take a ladder, which you can't? With two things in your arms? This one also has a ladder, though.
Objection!
Okay, that is what they wanted. I didn't know if they wanted the picture of him with the stuff in his arms or if they wanted the ladder. Mr. Starbuck, why don't you just tell the truth? The truth? Let's see. The Earth is blue? Planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do. No, that isn't right. So I guess the Earth isn't blue. Yeah, that's it. The truth, Mr. Starbuck. Gwarg! The oxygen concentration is super low in this area. Prepare the emergency oxygen tanks. Mr. Justice, the witness appears confused. Please help draw out the truth from him. Mr. Starbuck, under the circumstances at the time, you couldn't possibly have reached the boarding lounge via the upper-level route. Huh? Not as long as this was along the escape route.
Take that!
What's the matter, Mr. Starbuck? No, wait. Oh, do they want the dang hand pad? Wait, if they would have accepted that he couldn't open the pad, the handprint pad, then why wasn't the picture good enough when I gave him the DVD with the picture? Your Honor, please let me try that again. Under the circumstances at the time, couldn't have made it to the boarding lounge. So where was that? In the corridor? I guess?
Take that!
No. Wait, why? Did it not like me put, like, I tried to, like, I wasn't sure if they wanted me to hit the word ladder or on the ladder itself, so I kind of went here. That still counted as ladder, right? So if it wasn't that, it wasn't that, it wasn't this, 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 it wasn't this. There's only two. Like both of these things are correct. He could not get down the ladder with two people in his hands, and he couldn't open the handprint door while carrying two. It seems like it's the ladder though. I'm just gonna try the ladder again, but actually click in the middle of the ladder.
Take that!
Okay, nonsense. They didn't accept it before. To get down from the upper to the middle level where the Launchpad 1 corridor is, you would have to go down the ladder. Isn't that right, Mr. Starbuck? Of course. That was the only way we could escape.
Objection!
But how would that work? At the time, you were supporting Mr. Terran over your shoulder, were you not? And remember, he was in full space gear as well, putting him at over 200 pounds. Ooh. Well, it's easy on the moon. Gravity is only 1/6 of what it is on Earth.
Objection!
People can't live on the moon. Time is slower there. But the Space Center is located on Earth. Short of being an octopus climbing a ladder with an adult male in space gear in one arm, while carrying the capsule in your other, is impossible, wouldn't you say? Oh. So, Mr. Starbuck, how exactly did you climb down that ladder with your arms full? Ah! Mr. Starbuck, come clean and tell us the truth, now! Engineer, where's that engineer? Oxygen leak detected due to faulty maintenance. Evacuate immediately! What the? He's flying the coop! Help! I'm caught on the ceiling! Help? Anyone? Bailiff, prepare the cherry picker. We have one of those right in the courtroom because we know what happens in Phoenix Wright games. We must launch our rescue mission at once. Well, that's one way to take off while being questioned. I'd rather prove his innocence so he can go to space again someday for real. Now then, Mr. Starbuck, do you think you can keep your feet planted on the ground? Yes. I apologize for losing control. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Not that. Anything but that? What is going on? This isn't the Mr. Starbuck I know. It appears Spaceboy is prone to deception. Witness. Yikes! Yes? I thought your story odd, but perhaps the inconsistencies can be explained as the result of a medical side effect. Ugh! Prosecutor Blackmore, please. Please don't talk about that. What are you talking about, Prosecutor Blackwell? Didn't I already state that Spaceboy is, ironically, terrified of going into space? That's why he took some precautions just before the launch. For you see, traces of this anti-anxiety drug were found in his system. Oh? I sense things are about to nosedive. You got it all wrong. I told him during the investigation, too. I don't know anything about any drugs. I never took any medication, I swear. It was found in his system, but he doesn't remember taking it? How could that be? Somebody must have slipped them to me. But I guess maybe that's why I don't remember. Because of the side effects. Yeah, that's why I don't remember much about what really happened. What? Order. Order in the court. We can't get any useful testimony out of him if he doesn't remember anything. Well, this certainly explains why his testimony kept changing. Ugh, why didn't he just tell me he couldn't remember? I guess he didn't want anyone to find out he was terrified of going into space. Maybe I really did do it. Which brings us to the answer of our original question, of how the witness climbed down the ladder with a dead body. It does? So what is it? A dead man feels no pain and makes no complaints, Justice Dono. So the body was simply dropped down from the top of the ladder. Oh my! I see. And then the defendant could climb down with his free hand. Drop the body down? Who would do such a disrespectable thing? Besides, dropping the body down would leave marks on the body itself. So you are capable of quick thinking. Yes, you are correct. Really? Oh, thanks. Ah! Huh? What's this? It's the oxygen tank from the victim's spacesuit. It's ruptured. And I'm sure you can figure out why. You can't be implying it ruptured when the defendant dropped the victim's body. I am, for they fracture easily when struck.
Objection!
Couldn't it have been, Even if that's true, the tank's explosion and shrapnel would leave its mark on the body. Yet according to the autopsy report, only the knife wound was found on the victim's body. You're clearly grasping at straws with this line of reasoning.
Silence!
A spacesuit isn't heavy for the sake of being heavy, Justice Dono. It includes the latest technological devices and is made of the fabric of tomorrow. This fabric is made to protect astronauts from the dangers of space, so falling a few Earth yards would hardly leave a mark on the wearer. We haven't established how high up this ladder is. I was thinking, like, 10 yards or more. Then shouldn't it also be impossible to stab someone through it as well? It should, and yet through sheer coincidence, the knife slipped through a weak spot in the suit's structure and found its way to its target. What are the chances? You forget that our killer is an astronaut himself with the You forget that our killer is an astronaut himself with knowledge of how the suits work. He's got me there. And now my argument has been proven. Space Boy killed the victim in the rocket, then dropped his body from the upper level. After climbing down, he shouldered the body and made sure the camera recorded them. There's no room for debate about these facts. It is clear that Solomon Starbuck is the only one who could have killed Clay Terran. Gag! Here, the report regarding the astronauts' astrogen tanks. Consider it my send-off gift. Feel free to use it as payment to cross the river Styx. Oh, I should have read that. The victim's tank was ruptured with 0% left. The defendant's had 80%. Remaining oxygen is displayed on the left shoulder. We know that it said 50 here, not 80. Strange. This report is pretty detailed. Oh, okay, and then here's even more. The display on the oxygen's left shoulder so the oxygen remaining. After the incident, the victim's tank was 0. The tank belonging to Starbuck, who claims to have carried the victim, said it was 80% full. Tanks were functioning properly at the time. Okay, so this is going to help us. This is going to show that Clay was actually the one walking around with the 50%, and then it was ruptured later. He was the one carrying Starbuck. I guess that means these glowing cyan digits represent the amount of oxygen remaining. I'm done for. I'm going to prison instead of space. Space Boy. Yes? Take heart. The bejeweled night sky is still beautiful even when viewed through bars. You mean the stars as seen from prison? That's right. Your cell will be your spaceship. Picture the view through the iron bars. It's like being an astronaut in your own craft for all time. I thought they executed people. That's not a half-bad thought. Mr. Starbuck. Prosecutor Blackwell got to him good. Spaceship prison cell. Fly me, my guilt, and my despair into the deepest, darkest space. And then let's get sucked into a black hole together. Mr. Starbuck, you can't give up hope. Oh. Yes, Apollo? You know, Clay really looked up to you. He said you were an incredible man. He said you'd never give up your dreams and passion for space, no matter the situation. He said that? So don't give up now, and help me prove your innocence. For the sake of the man who respected you and believed in you, Clay Terran. For Clay. You're wasting your breath. Rog! Okay, there's too much yelling. There's too much yelling. Apollo, thank you. I can see things clearly now. Mr. Starbuck, I'm Daijobu. Thanks for reminding me of my life's mission. Right, we'll both be Daijobu. I'll prove you're innocent, you'll see. And after that, we'll get you back into space. Rah! You've ignited the booster rockets of my soul. I'm incinerated. I am Solomon Starbuck, Okay, alright. Okay, but how about we get back to the court? This is no time to be whimpering and crying. I can't let you and Clay down. Balderdash. The sun, the moon, all of space is calling to me. There's a lot more in space than just the sun and moon, arguably. Solomon Soul Starbuck, ready for launch. Hashin, begin the countdown. 5, 4, 3. 2, 1. Appreciate the enthusiasm, but I would like to play video games now. Please ask me the next question. I feel like I've witnessed an actual rocket launch.
Apollo, you did it. You broke Prosecutor Blackwell's grip over Mr. Starbuck.
I can't take the credit. It was all Mr. Starbuck. He pulled himself through. If you simpletons are done massaging one another's egos, no matter how positive your mood, my advantage remains unshakable. I have but to wait for the final guilty verdict. Isn't that right, your boldness? Gah, I can't let up now. I have to stop Blackwell. I have to see this through. Mr. Starbuck just has to make it back into space. I won't allow Clay's dream to remain unfulfilled. I've got to destroy Blackwell's argument somehow. Think, Justice, think! If the only people at Launchpad 1 were Clay and Mr. Starbuck, and if Clay was already dead by the time this footage was taken, then the only person who could have killed him is Mr. Starbuck. So the only way to counter Blackwell's argument is if I can prove that Clay was still alive when they arrived at the boarding lounge, in which case I should be able to find some contradiction in the evidence itself. Now let's see about this data that we just received. It's kind of... There's many, actually. There's many times in this series where they make it a little too obvious and then really, really belabor the point of how am I going to get this skeleton arm and this glue to do something? Put the glue on the skeleton arm. Obviously. This supposedly proves that Mr. Starbuck dropped Clay's body in Launchpad 1, but if I'm going to prove that false, then there must be something I can use here. Enough of this farce, your boldness. Let's have your verdict.
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, you seem to be in quite a hurry to rush the verdict. But about this oxygen tank data you submitted just now, it says that Mr. Starbuck's tank had 80% remaining while Mr. Terran's had 0. Do you stand by the accuracy of this report? Of course. Then I guess it simply means that it's faulty as evidence goes. You will explain what you mean, Justice Dono. It's simple. This evidence contradicts the facts of this case. Take a look here at the detailed description, and you'll see what I mean. I hope you have some evidence, Mr. Justice, because I don't see what's so contradictory. Yes, Your Honor, right away. This is the evidence that the oxygen tank stands in 2 minutes. Yeah.
Take that!
And how does this evidence present a contradiction? The problem is this part here.
Take that!
Note the remaining oxygen in Mr. Starbuck's tank as he carries Mr. Terran. It appears to say 50. Yes, but according to the data, our client's tank had 80% remaining. The oxygen in the tank increased? I see Your Honor finds it as strange as I do. It's bad enough that there's a contradiction, but the increase in oxygen is beyond illogical. Oh my! You're absolutely right. What is going on here?
Silence!
I too find it odd that the oxygen remaining has increased. It would be as odd as if my rations were to increase. But what does that prove? It doesn't change the fact that it is the defendant carrying the victim's corpse. That's exactly what it changes. I'm going to bet you don't get more rations because you don't abide by the rules. Either way, the oxygen remaining shouldn't increase, just as your rations don't increase. Therefore, this new information is critical. We can't overlook
Silence.
it. In that case, do you have an answer to the riddle of this mysteriously increasing oxygen? You'd better not disappoint, or I'll declare the inconsistency as mere equipment malfunction. Prosecutor Blackwell has a point. I suppose it could be a simple malfunction. Mr. Justice, if you cannot provide an adequate counter-argument to this point, I'm afraid I must bring this trial to an end. So do you think you can explain why the remaining oxygen level increased?
Of course I can. The thing to do at a time like this is turn my thinking around. Mr. Starbuck has no memory of it, but he claims to have carried clay. So this man with the 50 on his tank ought to be Mr. Starbuck. But if anything, the display on his oxygen tank at the 80 is a clear contradiction to his report in the security. So what I should be asking is not because the oxygen level increases. Ever you're here. you're here. We've been going on about this oxygen tank thing for like 15 minutes. What had to have happened to make it look like it increased? Am I making some kind of mistake in my base assumptions here?
Well, Mr. Justice, we're waiting.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm ready to answer. This is why the remaining oxygen appears to increase. The victim was carrying they were going the other way. Time had reversed. What if it was the other way around? The other way around. Would you care to explain? I would love to. For several hours. Savine is also here. Welcome. As you can see, Your Honor, both men had their helmets on in this footage. But it turns out, this is where our base assumptions went astray. We assumed it was Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Taryn, but it was the other way around. It wasn't Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Taryn at all. It was Mr. Taryn who was helping Mr. Starbuck to the boarding lounge.
It was what?
We knew this from the moment we saw the photograph.
Order, Mr. Justice.
Let the record show. I didn't see anything written by Savine. The first thing that you said was, I've been here for a few minutes now, though. It's possible that Twitch chat messed up. Or that my chatty client messed up. I definitely... Yeah. I don't know. Maybe at this point, if it were Phoenix Wright, you could present the VOD as evidence. You mean to tell me that the person on the right is Clay Torrance? The only way will be increasing all of his units out of breath rate. The point in time is right now. 50%, 50 is greater than 80, and 80 is less than 100, and 100 is more than 0, and 0 is more than negative 17,000. That's right. There's nothing contradictory about the oxygen level decreasing. This means Mr. Taryn was alive as they made their escape to the lounge. How short your memory is. Have you forgotten what you yourself proposed? Even if the victim was alive at this point in time. How did he descend the ladder with his arms full? Prosecutor Blackwell, you can't hurt me with a broken blade. Actually, yes, you can. It's even better for stabbing. It's true we don't know how they got down the ladder. I suppose that matter needs further investigation, but we've proven that Mr. Taryn was alive when he reached the boarding lounge. This fact alone shatters your claims and opens up the possibility that the victim could have been killed by a third party. Gwar! There were two people who claimed to be the first on the scene, but can we truly trust their statements? Let's see. The two people who were Detective... Oh, what's this? Yesterday's shocking confession. Do I need to see this? What is it? Oh, is this the one of me saying, while reading someone else's words, they were taken as my own illegitimately? No! No spiders. Let's see. The two people were Detective Candace Arm and Yuri Cosmos, right? You think that one of them might have given a false statement to the police? Yes, it's certainly possible. We might have to do a little more digging. That was a well-timed gavel. It seems we'll have to hear the testimony of these first two people on the scene. Score! Come to think of it, Detective Arm should be here in court right now. Bailiff, could you please show Detective Arm to the stand?
Ah. I have an announcement, everyone. What's the meaning of this? We're in the middle of a trial here. Please remain calm and listen carefully. Someone has reactivated the bomb. The bomb was diffused? The bomb was diffused. The bomb was scattered into particles in the air. That's what you do to bombs. But it's about to explode. Baku Hatsu! A bomb? Now? Ugh! Everybody run. Eek! I don't want to die. Oh no, everybody's panicking. But it wasn't just a misspelling, it's a different word. Diffused is a different word from defused. Headless chickens with a death wish, the lot of you. Calm yourselves afore all else. Now I am Urianjay? Come on, Apollo, let's get out of here. But what about Mr. Starbuck's dream? And who will carry out Clay's final wish? I don't care what happens to me. I'm not letting some bomb blow up the truth forever. I refuse to let things end here. Apollo, this is no time to be dramatic. If we don't get out of here now, we're gonna die. Come on, this way. Hey, ouch! Let me go. Apollo! Juniper? She hasn't evacuated yet. Eek! Juniper! Are you alright? Apollo, no! Not that way! You spell any way you want, okay? And they all lived happily ever after, as skeletons at the bottom of the courtroom rubble. Oh, it's still episode 4? Strange. Okay. So I thought that was just going to be a mini trial and then it would end there, but apparently... Because from here we go to episode 1, right? Like, literally tomorrow is when... Isn't it? Tomorrow is when episode 1 starts, where they go, oh, Juniper was the one who set up the bomb. She set up us the bomb. In the middle of the Space Center bombing trial, we had another bombing incident. This one destroyed courtroom number 4. Furthermore, Apollo suffered massive injuries from being there when the bomb went off. Hooray for roulettes. Unfortunately, Juniper Woods was fingered as the courtroom bomber. Athena and I knew she had to be innocent, so we took her case on. Oh, so episode 4 happens in the middle of this. Or episode 1 happens in the middle of 4. 4 starts with the astronaut bombing thing. Episode 1 is an interlude, and now we're resuming episode 4 after episode 1 ends. Weird. We managed to clear Ms. Wood's name. But Apollo sustained further injuries when he was attacked by Ted Tonate. Apollo is a tough guy, but this is taking its toll on him. Yeah, poor guy being attacked by Tonate like that on top of all of his other injuries. Apollo is resting at the nearby Hickfield Clinic. Of course he is. The only hospital in Japanifornia. I've had some experience with that place myself. What an awful turn of events. Uh-oh. Is it? Frames? My OBS says no dropped frames so far. Yankee girl, hello. Yankee gal. We're just past the court section of chapter 4, episode 4. What an awful turn of events. I never thought he'd land in a hospital of all places. You must miss him too, huh? Now that you don't have anybody to tease. Don't worry, he's young. He'll heal quickly and be back before you know it. It's been a while since I last saw Trucy look so down. We won the court case, yet nobody did we? Is that how that works? They just go, well, the courtroom blew up, not guilty. We won the court case that nobody... Or he's talking about the Juniper court case. Alright, enough of this, people. This is no time to be moping around. Now dry those eyes, both of you. You're the only one who's crying, Athena. Technicalities. Look, we have work to do. We have to take over. Take over what exactly? Apollo Space Center case, of course. As no verdict's been reached, there's still a chance. I agree with Athena. We should pick up Mr. Starbuck's defense. We have to avenge our fallen comrade. Right, Daddy? Apollo hasn't exactly fallen. He's still alive, you know. I feel happy. Good. Now that that's settled, let's get going. Come on, we gotta run. Wait, right now? We better not be running the whole way. There she goes. I better go catch up. Can you take care of the office, Trucy? Yeah, Starbuck and his coffee. Sure thing, Daddy. Let's be careful out there. In the meantime, I'm going to bake some cookies and fill up my magic panties for you. Of course you are. It's your only personality trait. Trucy seems to be feeling a little better. Can always count on Athena to perk up everybody up with her enthusiasm. Oh, she's back. Don't mind me. Just forgot a few things. Wallet, phone, the documents, my bag. Sounds more like you forgot everything. You can always count on Athena for that, too. Well, yes. Yes, I know. Alright, you two, let's be careful out there. So our client is one Solomon Starbuck. He's so famous, even I've heard of him. That's right. He's a super famous astronaut who works at the Cosmos Space Center. He was actually up in outer space 7 years ago. You seem to know quite a bit about him. Now I'm all excited to meet the man. Wow, that was the longest sigh I've ever heard. I wonder if they should have put... If they should have opened the game with this... Like, we haven't had any time in between the Apollo part of this and the Phoenix part. It's going to be weird to have Phoenix, like, you need to recap everything from scratch. I don't know who you are or what happened. Apollo told me all about you. You're Phoenix Wright, Apollo's mentor. Right? Yes, that's right. Mentor has a nice ring to it. #1 mentor. I like the sound of that. Don't worry about a thing, Mr. Starbuck. Mr. Wright and I have got you covered. Ah, and you're the new kid that Apollo told me about. Wait, don't I know you from somewhere? Huh? You mean other than at your trial? I don't think so. I guess so. My mistake. It must be the drugs. My memory isn't what it used to be. My mind and body are kaput. Same goes for my life. I mean, I'm so astronomically unlucky that I had a bomb go off in the middle of my trial. Trying to defend me would be like trying to enter the stratosphere without a spacecraft. Yikes. He's seriously got to stop depressing himself.
Cheer up, Mr. Starbuck. Besides, that thing you said about entering the stratosphere, that just means we'd shine like shooting stars, right? Like shooting stars, huh? You know, you're right. Why didn't I think of that? After all, that's what we're put on this earth to do, right? To shine like stars. Guess I shouldn't mention the fact that shooting stars burn out in the flash. Oh yeah, here we go! 3, 2, 1, again? Again! It's happening again. I feel alive now. You can go ahead and ask me anything you want. Is that really all it takes? First things first, did you know I'm an attorney? So what do you think about this? The evidence is gonna get me convicted. No, it's my attorney's badge. I was hoping it would reassure you that we're here to defend you. Evidence isn't just for the prosecution, it can help prove a person's innocence, too. That's a positive spin on things. Thought that was common knowledge. Talk to me. Hit me with your jibber jabber. So you have no memory at all of the incident? I'm so ashamed. My memory of the time is as black and clouded as a dark nebula. My memories are as dark and as bitter as coffee. Still, it's strange you don't remember a thing. Are you sure you didn't take one of those anti-anxiety pills like they said at the trial? You got it all wrong. I told him during the investigation, too. I don't know anything about any drugs. I never took any medication, I swear. It is true I developed a fear of space because of what happened 7 years ago. And I was taking medication secretly every now and then when my anxiety got bad. Having a fear of space is not something an astronaut can brag about, you know? Oh, the so-called Hat 1 miracle. That must have been a terrifying experience. But I'm still an astronaut at heart, come what may. I would never take drugs that might impede my performance just before a launch. That launch meant everything to me. That's more certain than the theory of relativity. He seems like a completely different person now. This is the face of the astronaut I know. Did I mispronounce it? I can be forgiven for that. But the tranquilizers were found in your system. Yeah, see, that's the thing. But I don't know why. I'm done for. If you didn't take them, then maybe someone slipped them to you? Exactly. That's what I thought. It must have been the real culprit. My medication was in my locker. Anybody could have gotten their hands on it. Maybe the real culprit also planted the detonator switch in your pocket. Yeah, that's gotta be it. I've been framed. I'll say, they even managed to plant your prints on the switch before slipping it in. It's a real possibility. Do you remember anything else that might be relevant? 5 given. Anything at all, no matter how small. Like about the murder weapon, for example. That knife. I think it came from one of the Space Center's utility kits. Utility kits? Yeah, staff who work on machinery a lot are given these special toolkits to use. All the technicians have them, so I doubt you could prove whose knife it is. Leon's! It's from Leon's utility set.